Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, How to Modernize Your Applications and Drive Business Value with Amazon Aurora. My name is Chuck Edwards, and I'm the Global Lead for AWS Database Partners, and thanks very much for your time today. So we all know that more and more business models are embracing the cloud. From SaaS applications like Salesforce to new and innovative business models like Airbnb and Netflix, the cloud is becoming a more ubiquitous part of application development and delivery. And customer adoption of the cloud has been so rapid and so strong that in 2017, as you can see from this quote here, IDC reported that all ISVs who want to stay relevant to their customers need to have some sort of cloud strategy or adopt the cloud in some way. And backing up IDC's assertion, we see additional data from Gartner. Gartner reports that 28% of spending within key enterprise IT markets will shift to the cloud by 2022, up from 19% in 2018. And they also report that by 2020, all new entrants and 80% of historical software vendors will offer subscription-based business models as well. And so what does this mean if you're an ISV? So if you're an ISV thinking about your move to the cloud, there's a few things that you can think about. At AWS, we see successful ISVs, those that are growing their business in the cloud is what I mean by successful, take a more modern approach to software development. And this is an approach to designing, building, and managing applications that enables faster innovation and increased customer responsiveness. The best practices of modern application development arose from our experience serving millions of customers and building applications for Amazon.com. And we've observed common approaches that enable our customers to increase agility and build better applications that support the success of their businesses. So why are ISVs modernizing applications on the cloud? They're rethinking their applications because the cloud lets them move faster and creates a lot more value for their customers at a lower cost. Things like pay-as-you-go pricing and on-demand infrastructure mean that ISVs don't have to pay for more than they use, which are savings that can then be passed on to their customers. They can also build in global resiliency and durability without paying expensive license fees for disaster recovery and high availability features for their software. And they can scale globally as fast or as slowly as they want without deploying hefty capital expenditures, not just for hardware, but upfront licensing costs as well, keeping innovation high and costs low for their customers. So while different ISVs approach these practices from different starting points, we do see some commonalities. One of the most common starting points is to move away from the expense and restrictions of commercial databases, which often increases customers' application cost of ownership while adding little actual business value. ISVs who can avoid these cost restrictions have an advantage when considering the global market of millions of AWS customers. Because customers still expect performance, availability, and durability, but they don't expect to purchase additional database licenses for these behaviors. Customers expect ISVs to support their own modern development practices as they move their infrastructure to the cloud, and they definitely look for flexibility and speed of deployment that's difficult or impossible to achieve on-premise. Commercial databases specifically present some fundamental challenges when considering a cloud deployment strategy. Scaling and agility is limited to hardware availability, location, and even license availability and costs. Imagine a customer deploying your software with single points of failure just because they don't want to spend additional money on database licenses. And as customers move to the cloud, on-premise database solutions often don't natively integrate, forcing customers and ISVs to build or buy the integration that they need. So we received a lot of feedback from customers and from ISVs who listen to their customer about what they really need in cloud-native database solution. They tell us that commercial databases like Oracle and SQL Server have lots of amazing features, but they come at a really high price, many times as add-ons and not included in the base product. And ultimately, these costs, whether they're used or not, must be passed through to the end customer, raising the total cost of ownership for an ISV's application without adding direct business value in many cases. As customers and ISVs alike rethink their applications for the cloud and AWS, they've made it clear to us what's important. They don't want a huge list of features that they may or may not use. They want speed of deployment, hyperscale performance, cloud integration, and they definitely don't want to pay huge upfront licensing and punitive ongoing support costs just to run their business applications in the cloud. And as we can see from this data, again from IDC, they're clearly showing us that relational database in the cloud is projected to far outpace on-premise deployments. By 2021, 34% of worldwide relational database systems will have moved to the cloud, as to 2.6% on-premise. And this is a projection, but this is definitely showing the trend as seen by IDC. So this growing trend and customer feedback is why we built Amazon Aurora, which delivers the performance of commercial grade databases with the pricing, freedom, and flexibility of open source databases. Amazon Aurora is a MySQL and Postgres compatible relational database built for the cloud that combines the performance and availability of high-end commercial databases with the simplicity and cost effectiveness of open source databases. Aurora has 5 times the performance of standard MySQL and 3 times the performance of standard Postgres with the security, availability, and reliability of commercial grade databases at 1/10 the cost. Aurora is also fully managed with repeatable operational tasks like provisioning, patching, backups, and even automatic failover to secondary sites. Finally, Aurora is an integrated cloud-native database with features like Lambda and S3 integration and serverless deployments, where the database instance computing power can grow and shrink on demand. Customer reaction to Aurora has been overwhelming, making it the fastest growing service in the history of AWS. In 2015, Aurora already had thousands of customers, including enterprises like NBC Universal, PG&E, and the United Nations. In 2016, the number of customers grew by 3.5 times, with household names like Netflix, LexisNexis, and Ticketmaster joining the list. And in 2017, the number of customers grew by 2.5 times, with organizations like Expedia, NASDAQ, Verizon, CBS Interactive, Dow Jones, and Hulu running their business critical workloads on Aurora. Today, we have tens of thousands of enterprises and startups running their applications on Aurora. Using Amazon Aurora as a foundation for ISV software provides a number of strategic benefits. First, AWS has millions of customers, and they consistently choose solutions that do not require purchase and maintenance of commercial databases. Second, removing the cost of commercial database license can reduce customer TCO for ISV software, regardless of a SaaS or single tenant deployment model. Third, eliminating these heavy upfront costs from ISVs and their customers, embracing the pay-as-you-go resourcing model opens the door for more flexibility in deployment and pricing options that customers expect in the cloud. And finally, Aurora's native integration with other AWS services opens the door for innovation that really matters to ISV customers, including AWS Analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning services. And it's not just cloud-native startups embracing Aurora. Many familiar ISVs like BMC and Infor offer Aurora-based or Aurora-compatible versions of their software. So to help the growing community of ISVs who are modernizing their offerings with Amazon Aurora, in 2018, AWS launched the Database Ready Program. Database Ready provides the people, tools, and support that ISVs have asked for to help them deliver a cloud-native Amazon Aurora-based offering to their customers. The program mission is to help ISVs build profitable cloud-native solutions faster with Amazon Aurora. The program provides some standard benefits. While building, ISVs have access to technical support from both AWS and our Database Ready system integrator partners, as well as service credits to help offset development costs. When an application is ready for customers, we'll feature on the Database Ready webpage, and we also may make it ready for launch through AWS Marketplace if that makes sense for the ISV. Finally, Database Ready can help accelerate net new and legacy customer adoption of your Aurora platform through marketing development funds and go-to-market promotion and support. Taking a closer look at some of our Aurora-enabled ISVs, Alfresco found they could scale 10 times on Aurora MySQL over their self-managed MySQL deployments. Alfresco now scales to over 1 billion documents with a throughput of 3 billion documents per hour on their Aurora MySQL deployment. And BMC recently certified their Remedy application to run on Aurora Postgres. BMC Remedy customers who are paying thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for SQL Server or Oracle licenses can now deploy Remedy on AWS and drop those licensing costs.
Thank you, Chuck. Hello, my name is Kumar Ramamurthy. I head the Data Management, Analytics, AI, and ML practice for Virtusa. What I'm going to do right now is to take you through this presentation, which will talk about reaching out to new customers, specifically ISV customers, through application modernization and platform modernization. What I want to first start off with is to talk about who we are. We are Virtusa. Virtusa is a leading provider of digital engineering services, around 19 countries where we operate in, 50 plus locations, 25,000 people across the world, 200 plus clients, 1.25 billion in revenue. Stock ticker is VRTU, and we grow at around 22% CAGR every year. Basically work very strongly in certain domain areas like banking and financial, insurance, healthcare, media, telco, entertainment, high tech. We use innovation to make sure we reach out to our clients and keep them on the top end of technology. We have lots of awards and recognitions from analysts worldwide, Everest, Forrester, Gartner, and many ISVs like Adobe, Talent, etc. also recognize our efforts in us implementing these platforms for our clients. I want to talk a little about Virtusa's AWS partnership specifically. Virtusa is an Advanced Premier APN partner. Virtusa actually has around 100 plus AWS certifications across all tracks. Virtusa has a huge migration competency to migrate application and database workloads onto AWS. Virtusa has a huge DevOps competency on AWS, and Virtusa is a big database ready partner for AWS. Our credentials actually lie in helping a lot of ISVs engineer their products, writing adapters, writing feature functionality, creating product PRDs. We help a lot of ISV companies through their journey of making their product stable and robust. We're also digital engineering and platforming partners to many enterprises. We do a lot of OLTP database kind of work. We do a lot of data lake kind of work. We do a lot of data integration and data engineering work for many of our customers worldwide. We do a lot of database migration and database movement onto clouds and moving workloads, database workloads specifically onto the cloud for a lot of ISVs, and that has been a big portion of our work for our customers. We have around 4,000 consultants globally trained on AWS technologies, and they help our customers move workloads specifically onto AWS. Most of our clients seek end-to-end transformation experience on a certain platform, a business process, or moving a database or an application workload. And so our folks are really trained on AWS-native services, moving the databases, and also helping modernize applications using microservices or many other new application constructs that are coming into the cloud-ready world. Virtusa is an APN partner with AWS, like I said before, and there are many ways we engage with a customer. Sometimes a customer needs a POC before they embark on a complete journey, so we help them with a POC on a certain AWS component. It could be an Aurora, RDS, or a Redshift. Sometimes, AWS ProServe needs help from Virtusa to help a client on a certain engagement. We work with ProServe. Virtusa has around 4,000 new certifications in the last 3 years. And we tend to kind of not act like an SI partner alone. We tend to act like a tech and a solution partner. We tend to build more solutions that are industry focused so that the competency that is rich on certain AWS components is able to create something of value for a vertical, be it a life sciences or a healthcare or a banking innovation platform. Some of our key solution areas, like I talked about, are application migration and database migration. Outside that, we also do a lot of IoT-based work, and we also do a lot of solution development, an open innovation platform, and a vLife platform for healthcare ISVs are some of the platforms that we have built. Now, when we actually try to work with customers, we see on the ground customers having various levels of maturity. There are customers who have gone down the cloud journey. There are customers who haven't even embraced the cloud journey yet. And so they're at various levels of maturity. And so what we had to do was we had to really have our offerings from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. We had to do cloud assessments for customers who are really embracing the cloud. We had to do a lot of education to those cloud customers along with AWS. In some cases, some of the customers are a little ahead and they want a foundation to be built. Some customers reach to us just for a DevOps competency. Some of them reach us to help containerize applications, and some of them really want to manage their application as a service, and they need an SI that could do that. So over the years, we've really had to create many different offerings so that we can actually get into the customer's cloud journey at different points and not try to get at one point or the other. And we see that as a steady transition as we develop more and more offerings on AWS. When we accelerate our application modernization journey for customers, the database is a huge component. Customers have their choices to move their OLTP and OLAP workloads or data warehouse workloads or enterprise data warehouse, EDW like you call them, onto various components on AWS. So it could be a Redshift or an RDS or an Aurora. And so we kind of map the existing workloads to components on AWS that these workloads could move to, talk to them about the total cost of operations, how it could come down, when could they break even, and how do we do this migration journey, and how could we actually get an SI to do this, and how could Virtusa be that SI? And going through this whole journey and kind of creating a POC, evangelizing that through the organization, and creating a migration factory. This is exactly where Virtusa comes in, and we work very closely with AWS to enable this journey for customers. There are some tools that AWS has very readily created to kind of speed up this whole acceleration to cloud journey. One of the tools is called a workload qualification framework. And what it does is it helps qualify existing workloads into different categories so that they can be mapped to the right AWS components. And that gives the customers as to what can be achieved, and that gives a mind of prioritization of what they want to do first versus what they want to do next. And then we're able to craft the journey together with AWS for the customer. This is a very important tool for us. The second set of tools that are available are usually the SCT tool and the DMS tool. And both these tools actually are called accelerators towards moving the workloads, database workloads from an on-prem to AWS Cloud. SCT is the schema conversion tool, which helps in converting schemas over from an on-prem to a cloud component, whereas DMS is a data migration service that can help move the data or replicate the data onto the cloud. And in today's world, you can't shut down business. There are lots of constraints in terms of how much downtime you can have. And DMS provides various options as to how you can minimize the downtime and help the client move the workload with minimal downtime. SCT can actually give you the level of effort when you move from one flavor of a database on-prem to the flavor of workload that you choose on AWS and tell you what's the amount of work that needs to be done. All these tools that AWS provides help the customer and help partners like us build a migration journey that can be very successful. What could be the next steps if ISVs really want to migrate their databases? What Virtusa would like to offer is a joint 2-day workshop where we could come in with AWS and sit down with our customers and identify workloads that can actually move to AWS components, talk about pros and cons about moving, talk about the risks in moving these and the mitigations that we can take to moving these workloads, and probably provide a small program to do a POC for one of these identified workloads. With that, I end this presentation, and thank you for listening.